Davis from Warriors.com. How important is your father to this whole process? He went through the draft process too. Some of the things he was weak at, I know he wanted to make sure you were not.
Yeah, he's been very helpful. Just been in my head about little things here and there, telling me what I need to do, what I need to improve on. He knows a lot of NBA guys. He has a lot of connections. They're in his ear a little bit. So he's been good for me, throughout my life, as far as being there and not necessarily trying to play his career through me. He had his career. He played overseas, and he's not trying to live his life through me. He's just there for me, being helpful. So he's been a big part of my success and just keeping me motivated to keep going. So, yeah.
Coleman, what kind of communication have you had with the Warriors entering today's workout?
Yeah, I've ran into a few of the Warriors guys, people on staff who just kind of complimented my game, told me they really like my game, and I feel like my game kind of translates to what they do. Playing out of split actions, finding shooters, kind of facilitating, kind of what Draymond does. So I've ran into them a few times. They just complimented me. Finally got a workout in, so it's good to be here. I drove up from Sacramento. I was home, so it's not too far. It's right in my backyard. So it's cool to kind of just have this where I'm from, where I grew up. Championship level caliber team. So pretty cool to have that relationship and for them to reach out and have me come here and work out.
Kind of building on the whole backyard thing, what kind of memories do you associate with this Warriors team?
Yeah, just growing up, always seeing them, shoot threes, Splash Bros, they're at Oracle. I used to come down to Oakland, San Francisco all the time for AAU tournaments. I did 2 years at Napa, would come to the city, been to a few Warriors games. So it's been, great to see them kind of just represent Northern California, kind of where I'm from, knowing that this is right here for me and seeing how, powerful and how good they are of an organization. It's just really cool to see. So,
can you kind of describe what today's workout entailed and what kind of feedback did you receive?
I started off with medical testing, did a kind of a brief interview. They told me they've watched my game a lot. They like the way I can facilitate, can play small ball 5, play 4, guard multiple positions. And then we got into the workout. I think the biggest thing for me was just trying to be kind of aggressive. A lot of teams saw the facilitating, especially at the combine, and they're like, well, can he score the ball? And, I think, of course, I could score the ball. I've just kind of been in a role where I facilitate well, and that's kind of the role I embrace. So just coming out here, being kind of aggressive, making shots, trying to win shooting drills. Any drill we got, trying to win it, show my competitiveness, and, kind of show that I belong out here,
And when it comes to those drills, do you kind of get a sense of a team's preferred style of play based on the drills you're doing during these workouts?
Not necessarily. I think it just depends. Today they kind of had us doing like a, drive and kick drill towards the end, which they do well. They share the ball well, but I think, it's kind of similar. Most workouts are pretty similar, but I think it kind of depends. I wouldn't necessarily say it translates to the way they play, but they're all kind of similar in a way. So,
you mentioned Draymond and being a facilitator. Who else do you model your game after? Who did you idolize growing up?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say idolize, but I can see myself kind of being that Sabonis role, that pick and pop 5, trail 5, being able to play in zoom actions. Facilitate well, pick and pop, and then if I'm at the 4, kind of like a Michael Porter or a Kyle Kuzma, come off staggers, pin downs, shoot the open 3, catch and shoot kind of guy. So I feel like there's definitely multiple players, positions where I can be successful at for whatever team I play for, I feel like they can just throw me in multiple areas. I think I could be good. So.
You mentioned whatever team you play for, but what about potentially playing for the Warriors is most exciting to you?
Yeah, I think just the way that they I mentioned it to them today, the way they have feel for the game. Their feel for the game is just on a whole nother level. Like, it's just, you don't have to direct anything. It's just natural. And I really like how, I'm a guy who picks up on things quick. So I'm not gonna lie, I watch the Warriors a lot. I stay up watching the Warriors, just breaking down their film, seeing what they do, playing out of split actions, like I said, backside staggers, pin-ins for Steph, constant movement. So I think it's just, having feel, and I feel like I can really be a big part of just moving the ball, getting the ball to shooters, knocking down open shots when it comes to me, not being a guy that teams don't guard, just being able to facilitate and then make open shots so teams can't leave me, so it makes it even tougher on defenses. So I think it'd be very special. I feel like this is a program I can be very successful in, and if it's not Golden State, Santa Cruz, just getting better, developing, and over time, I feel like I could be a guy who's in this league for a long time. So, when my time comes, being able to step up and play in that role for the team.
Be able to pick the brain of any of the old, recent prolific prep players that were not their teammates, but like Josh Jackson. You able to pick those guys' brains at all?
Not necessarily, but Billy McKnight coached all those guys, so he kind of talked about the previous teams that they had, and we would watch Spurs film, and I think Billy kind of took my IQ and feel for the game to a whole nother level. I think it was always there when I went to public high school, but once I got there, I really got a real understanding of, how to attack switches, how to play out of ball screens, how to do this and that, and a different read. So I think picking the brain of Billy McKnight was the biggest thing, and still kind of having that family relationship with previous players like Jonathan Williams, who's with the Trailblazers now, Jalen Green. Never really got to get in contact with Josh, but still having those kind of connections is pretty cool to have.
Anything surprised you about the combine? I mean, you played at a high level AAU, played at a basketball high school, but anything surprised you about the combine?
I think one thing that surprised me was the amount of people who didn't play. I wouldn't say that people thought they were safe. But to me, it just feels like, a lot of guys got away with being able to kind of play a certain way in college and thinking it's going to get by. But I feel like for me, I went out there, played, facilitated. People said I wasn't aggressive. Does he look to score? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just trying to show them that I have feel for the game.
Coaches were telling you to look to score?
Yeah. Coaches, I'm just getting little feedback. Tell me I need to look to score, but I'm just trying to go out there and play the right way, because in my opinion, I feel like I'm the type of guy who could stick around the league, and some of the guys that didn't play, got to shoot 20 shots a game in college, which I didn't get to do, and I feel like they'll maybe have a hard time adjusting, not being able to do that, feeling like they kind of skated by and not going out there and playing. So I think that's one thing that surprised me, was the amount of guys who didn't play, to be honest with you. It's just kind of shocking to me.
Is the combine kind of considered like the starting point for most prospects in terms of like the NBA draft process?
I don't think so. I think it's, once you get that UAC, that evaluation telling you where you're at, some guys get kind of like a reality check. They end up entering, they get the feedback, and then they try to play it cool, but then they end up withdrawing kind of early. So I think that first step is really that evaluation, getting the feedback to see where you're at. And then, everyone dreams of making it to the combine and going out there and being able to showcase things. But, I think if I'm being honest with you, I don't think, the combine tells a full story, especially I feel like for people like me, who kind of go in places like for instance at Prolific Prep, go in places, kind of shock people with my feel. It's kind of hard to keep me off the court, and not on, any arrogant stuff, but just the way I can defend multiple positions, the feel I have for the game, making open shots. So I think it's good for some people, but I feel like for people like me, it's kind of hard to, it doesn't tell the full story, in my opinion.
Anything on Zoom for Coleman? Just raise your hand if you have any questions.
Yeah, I don't see the hand raise function, but I have one if I can.
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, Coleman, Joey Wagner from the Line Inquirer. I'm just curious where you're at in this process with the deadline coming up next Wednesday, and then as an aside, what role, if any, does this NIL possibilities play in how you approach this?
I think I'm at the point where I'm just getting feedback and trying to play it by the ear. Kind of want to hear from a team that is really interested in me. Not necessarily saying getting confirmation that they're going to draft me, but at least feeling a little more comfortable myself and getting drafted. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then what was the last part of that? I'm sorry.
I guess just what role, if any, does NIL play in how you approach this?
Yeah, I mean, some guys are, they enter the portal and they transfer and they're kind of money hungry. That's not necessarily the case for me. I feel like if anything, I kind of earned the right to be in a position where I can make some good NIL money. But honestly, that hasn't even been my thought right now. No numbers have been brought up. I haven't mentioned anything to coach about NIL. That's kind of just not like the person I am. I come from a great family who's not, desperate for money or is begging for anything. So I'm just at the point right now where, if I have to go back to school, I have to go back to school. If NIL opportunities come back to me, then it comes back to me. So.
Everybody else good? One more?
I don't see the hand raise function either, but I'll grab one if I can.
Yep.
Coleman, Joey Wright at the News Gazette here in Champaign. Talking about the feedback that you picked up through this process so far. What is some of that feedback? What have you heard from some of those evaluators and teams so far?
Yeah, a lot of people really like my game. They're fully aware of what I can do. They just want to see me in workouts. They want to see me do good in workouts. They want to see me score the ball in workouts. So that might be, that after a workout, maybe after that first week, past the deadline, it might not be, it may be, I don't feel comfortable with where I'm at or kind of like don't have the right feel of where I'm going. So I might go back to school. So like I said, I'm not in a position where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need money. I need to, go to the NBA. Oh my gosh, I need money. I need to go back to school and make NIL. I'm just kind of, playing it by the ear, just, being patient with everything and making sure I feel comfortable with everything.
Thanks, Coleman.
Thank you.
All right, Julian coming in next.